Hey Transformers fans, welcome. My name is David Lees, and in this video I'll be looking at Transformers A Bold New Era, issue 14. More recently I've been getting increasingly concerned and impatient with the Transformers Bold New Era series. This one is a little better, I have to say. It's definitely one of the better ones. We wait 6 or 7 issues, and every few months a good one comes around, and this is definitely one of them. We'll get straight in. On the cover, Sideswipe bearing a huge grin and a gun. So things are definitely looking better already. On his right, Chromia, and on the other side there, Cup, also with a gun. So things definitely hotting up, so to speak. Let's get straight in. Recap of last time. Bumblebee receiving the right of Deceptibrand, as I called it. And then these 3 or 4 Decepticons having been cornered by Sideswipe, Springer, and a few other Autobots, hiding in the body of a Titan out in the middle of Cybertron's nowhere. So they're kind of cornered, and we'll pick them up very soon. Then Windblade and Bumblebee looking into the historical records of Barricade, getting caught by Soundwave at the same time. But Barricade been wiped off, Quake wiped, right when Rubble was killed, all his files were deleted. So the Decepticons going through a process of clearing out the evidence. It's rule number 1 of assassinations, always assassinate the assassinator. And then this rather cheesy name drop we had at the end, where Ratchet tells Chromia that possibly Brainstorm was killed by someone called Frenzy, and I was absolutely infuriated by this seemingly unnecessary name drop of Frenzy. You'll be pleased to know that nothing comes of this. Frenzy doesn't appear in this issue at all. So there you go. The main characters for this issue: Ruckus, Bumblebee, Sideswipe, Elita 1, Soundwave, Chromia and Springer. No Megatron, but we do have Soundwave, and he has plenty to do. All good, you'll be pleased to know. We kick straight in with the Autobots attempting to persuade the Decepticons to come out of the Titan's body. If you remember, they're firing from the eye of the Titan, rising up to the challenge of the Autobots. The Autobots sending in these little drones saying, "Don't shoot this one, don't shoot this one." Ruckus there with his other Decepticon colleagues, who are most definitely trying to shoot it, so that's weapons fire already, and a destruction. And we're already only on the first page. It's looking very good indeed. So Springer and Chromia, they got it, the idiots. They're trying to get these Decepticons to give themselves up. The way it's working for them, it's the usual story. The Autobots are impeded by their need to get live witnesses to gather evidence. The Decepticons, no such problems, quite happy to shoot to kill, as we see with the shot that takes down Javelin. Javelin gets one right between the eyes, right in the head. If this was Star Trek, he'd be wearing a red shirt. So that's Chromia and Springer getting nowhere fast. Meanwhile, we have Cup, Sideswipe and Longarm, who are also trying to corner the Decepticons from another angle. Sideswipe chatting to Cup. Cup says, "Hey, you were a post-war forging, aren't you? So no matter how far we go before a war, there's always another war on Cybertron." And Cup predates even this earlier war. So he's clearly a battle-hardened hero, as we know. So the 2 groups of Autobots preparing to storm the Decepticons, get them out alive. I really like this artwork. I don't usually comment on it in the new series, but this picture of Sideswipe with a grin. See, there they go, starting it again. Trigger happy Sideswipe with a grin on his face. Really enjoying this issue. Part of the reason why I've discovered is that there's actually a decent amount of spacing. The guttering, if it's called that, between the pictures really helps each one stand out, makes it easier to read, and I really do appreciate it. We have a page here that I'm going to gloss over very, very quickly, because I always overrun on these reviews. Prowl talking to Nautica. Nautica, you remember, came in for a single issue a few issues ago. Total out of the blue, contributed nothing to the storyline. I complained bitterly throughout the whole video. And apparently the Voin that got killed was an important Voin. well, there you go, there's a whole page of text. And another page, the Voin who got killed was the kind of Voin whose death has consequences, big, bad consequences. Things are getting worse on the diplomatic front. Meanwhile, back on the interesting side of the world, Chromia is telling Private Flak, hooray, to light them up, more weapons fire. We don't actually see him transform, but hey, I'm quite happy to go with a weapons fire at the moment. Lots more activity. Private Flak hits the Titan in the eye. There's a poke in the eye for him. Blinds the Ascenticons. And we get, see what you've done, Cascade? You've annoyed them. Told you not to take a shot. So they shot Javelin. The Autobots are retaliating. It's like a battle. It's great. It's proper Transformers, and I'm delighted with it. Really, really enjoying this issue. Back to the artwork with the wide white guttering, so it's clearly going what's going on. Although I must say, having said that, this full page art here, Private Flak down at the bottom with the other Autobots firing, actually covers the background of the page. Very nice. Wouldn't overuse it, but it was nice touch here. Sideswipe, being Sideswipe, rash as ever, leaps in as they start the frontal assault. The Autobots fire stunners that have no impact, no effect. This Decepticon, who is kind of a tunnelling robot, I didn't catch his name. Strong Arm, excuse me. The Autobot here is Strong Arm, not Long Arm. But the two Autobots, Cup and Strong Arm, get ambushed by this tunnelling robot who goes straight in, straight under, straight up, and they get clobbered by a Sideswipe. Lots of activity and action, plenty going on. Again, this page is a little overcrowded for my liking. I did prefer the white guttering, I really did. But it's clear to see what's going on. You have to read it a couple of times through to see what's happening. Sideswipe drops off a bomb or a stun grenade or something that attaches itself to the Ascenticon. Got him. So Sideswipe didn't quite go as hoped. I think we might need some heavier duty stunners. So that's Sideswipe. Meanwhile, out of the blue, into the mix comes Soundwave. Just when you thought things were complicated enough, Springer says, hey, this isn't safe. And Soundwave says, I'm going in. He brings with him 4 other of his Ascenticon friends. There's Bumblebee, Acid Storm, Refractor, and Elita 1. Soundwave says, I'm going in to talk to them. Observe truce, I will enter to negotiate. The Autobots say, hey, this isn't really a good idea. It's very politically charged at the moment, it's very diplomatically sensitive, and they are shooting at us. And Soundwave comes up with this really peculiar expression for him, where he says, understood, courage is the currency of the moment. Like, what? I never knew Soundwave to be so poetic and metaphorical in what he says. But there you go. I alone will approach through the torso, stand watch here. So when he goes, meanwhile, when things couldn't possibly get any worse, this sound comes in, and it's just for the mix, Starscream. Another transformation, that's at least 2 for this issue. So it's looking very, very good. And Starscream is just Starscream, he's a pain in the neck. Winding up anyone he comes into contact with, stirring up trouble. Carry on, Chromia, pretend I'm not here. I'm only an observer, making sure you get us some live ones for questioning, you understand. Like fiddlesticks. Starscream is just an antagonist. He's just here to wind everybody up. I suppose we should be glad, says Chromia, that we don't have to deal with him and Soundwave at the same time. We'll give you 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Starscream goes off to talk to Refractor. Refractor brings Starscream up to date on pretty much everything that's been going on. Meanwhile, Soundwave goes in, observed by Bumblebee. There's this lovely point of view shot over Bumblebee's shoulder. And Soundwave says, yeah, I'll negotiate your safe passage. You don't know, do you have any information, valuable information? Ruckus says, nope, don't think so. Any connection to the Rise, any of your commander's leadership history? And Ruckus says, no, we don't know anything really. And Ruckus carries on, very well, if you have nothing consequential to offer, says Soundwave, I will endeavour to secure your survival nonetheless. Didn't I say, says Ruckus at the top of the page, told you everything would work out fine. I appreciate it, Senator. We knew it, we could rely on you as soon as we saw you coming this way. I've seen you and Megatron speak lots of times and always sounded like sense to me. Barricade wasn't talking wasn't talking, but rumour around the bunker was he'd not have made it if you hadn't helped, hadn't backed him and got him out. And you see this tiny, tiny expression on Soundwave's inscrutable face. All those ex-intelligence recruits who came in around the time Shockwave took over speak really well of you. And there is no word said by Soundwave, and you can't tell what he's thinking. Well, you can't see what he's thinking on his face. But, you know, Soundwave's clearly thinking very quickly, and things are not going well. What's your name? Says Soundwave. Ruckus, that's low load. I think he's probably still alive. Cascade Wire. You are a fool, Ruckus. You said you knew nothing. That was a very inaccurate statement. I will leave this here with this staff that he's been carrying around that I forgot to mention. Ideally to jam radio and transmissions and so on. It prevents surveillance. Await further contact. Wanna bet? So Bumblebee gets out just in time. Out comes Soundwave. Let me zoom out to a slightly bigger picture. Follow me. The terrorists have a large amount of explosive material that appears potentially unstable, says Soundwave. They do, says Bumblebee. You see that? He's left his staff thing inside, that suppressor he had. And then, so that kind of trails off. Things are not quite right. Not by a long stretch. A refractor talking to Starscream again. I think it was probably Megatron's idea though. You're an idiot, says Starscream. You haven't even mentioned the most significant thing that appears to have happened. When exactly did Bumblebee join Megatron's guard? No chance for a reply, as there's a huge explosion, massive, massive crater-wide explosion, completely destroys the Titan. You can see bits of hand and limbs and so on. Everyone gets thrown well clear, except for those who are actually still inside, of course. What there? That looks like Chromia, painted yellow. We don't get the immediate answer, but for those who've been paying attention, you'll work it out. And then we go over to Landmine and Geomotors. And I'll skip over anything else that they say. We just see Geomotors and move on. They see the distant explosion and wraps it up. You can see it from as far away as the cities. Megatron, damn us all to the void for what we've done, of what we may yet have to do. Not sure who these characters are. This one reminds me of Lord Straxus, except he was on Cybertron. Well, he was on Cybertron, so it's possibly him. So Megatron, not sure who this other chap is. Possibly Lord Straxus on that side. So things are going to get worse. Megatron says we are in a race against catastrophe now. One misstep and we all fall. I'd like to know what his definition of catastrophe is, but it seems to me that they've already hit it. Megatron's determined to go piling into a war, and the Autobots seem completely inept, incapable of stopping him. Although they did turn up with better armaments this time, better weapons and more of them. But as ever, the Decepticons, Ascenticons, always one step ahead, still destroying any line of evidence that would connect them to the death of Brainstorm, the initial start of the war and anything else like that. Leaving a huge wide trail of destruction that just gets bigger and bigger. We've had weapons fire, we've had transformations, we've had political intrigue, we've had Prowl and Nautilus for those who are interested. Sorry, Nautica, excuse me. So pretty good. I am pleased with this issue. I really hope it develops and continues to become more of this tense shoot 'em ups, small scale battles that we're having, and stops being political and all that kind of stuff as well, because that was just very, very boring. I know that sounds really childish, but that's just my view. Next issue, Shockwave again. Hopefully some more Megatron. He only features on the last page. The cover gallery, I mentioned the cover here. Starscream watching a huge explosion, and then Megatron, Starscream and Soundwave. So the G1 trio. Unusual to see them all together. I will be reviewing very shortly the next issue of Transformers Galaxies, Constructicons Rising Part 2. I will say now it was a little disappointing, but watch it and see what I think. G.I. Joe, Rom, Dire Wraiths, definitely not my kind of thing. And then the usual quotes and plugs for Transformers. So, issue 14, it's a good one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and all the YouTube stuff. And I'll be back very shortly with another issue review. Issue 15 due in December by my calculation. I do have other issues of Transformers Galaxies, Star Trek, and a few other things to review in the meantime. So thanks very much, and bye for now.